the right side is number 1, the left side is number 2. You don't need to know those two numbers, but you do need to know the third ventricle, which is around the thalamus. Now, it technically goes around the entire thalamus, but because, again, I cut down, it kind of squishes everything together. So you have the lateral ventricles here and here, the third ventricle around the thalamus, and then you have what's called the cerebral aqueduct, which connects the third ventricle around the thalamus to the fourth ventricle, which is underneath the cerebellum. See how there's like a gap right here? So it goes from the third, so this is the aqueduct right here. So this little space is the aqueduct, and it connects it to the fourth ventricle. So this is 1, this is 2, the third ventricle, the cerebral aqueduct, into the fourth ventricle. Then you have the first bump that occurs, and it's usually right under the cerebellum, is the medulla oblongata, and then you have, the second bump is the pons. So first bump medulla, the second bump is the pons. That's a bad example. I would say it's like right here. This is the first bump here, and then this is the second bump right there. And that's the pons. I think that's everything. Yep. That's about it.
I kind of missed you in the beginning.
In the beginning?
Well, yeah. I mean, I recorded it before, but it was so noisy I couldn't hardly hear you.
Okay.
You were talking. I started at the I came in with the water. You were talking about the water.
Okay. So we'll go again from the inside. So you have the white on top. This is disclaimer. Everything I say cannot be 100%.
Okay. That's
I'm pretty sure. Because sometimes I even mess up what I say. So this is the white on top is the corpus callosum.
Okay.
And then the white on bottom is the fornix. So you can see it better on here. This is the white on bottom, fornix. The white on top is the corpus callosum. Then you have the lateral ventricles that are covered by this membrane. Mm-hmm. The membrane is called the septum pellucidum. I think I forgot to say that earlier. So the septum pellucidum is the membrane that covers the lateral ventricles, or would separate the lateral ventricles. Then you have the thalamus in the middle with the third ventricle around it. And then it's connected to the fourth ventricle, which is the fourth ventricle is underneath the cerebellum through the cerebral aqueduct.
Where is the third ventricle?
Third ventricle is around the thalamus. Fourth ventricle is right under the cerebellum. And they're connected through the cerebral aqueduct, which is the space that connects the third to the fourth. Then you have the superior and inferior colliculus from the outside, right there, that you would need to identify from the inside. So superior here, inferior here. Superior, inferior colliculi. And then on top of the superior, you have this round structure here, which is the pineal body or the pineal gland. And you have it on this side kind of too. It's like right there. Then you have the spinal cord. And then this little gap right here for the spinal cord is the central canal. Then you have the first bump, which is the medulla oblongata. And the second bump is the pons. And then you have the thalamus here, and the hypothalamus is this space underneath. So you have thalamus, and then the hypothalamus is right here. Don't call this the hypothalamus, because that is the optic chiasm that I cut through from there. And then this is the mammillary body right there. So that is not the hypothalamus. That's the mammillary body. The hypothalamus is kind of like the area underneath the thalamus. And
so where's the gland that he was talking about? That was
pituitary gland. You cut it off earlier.
Okay.
So it's technically this little dense thing right there. So if you feel it, and I know you don't want to feel it, but it's like a dense little circle ball right there. But so it hangs underneath the brain. So when you cut it off, it's right there. Feel that dense ball? That's the pituitary gland. And it's connected to the mammillary body through the hole, which is called the infundibulum. And so there's a little cord that goes through the infundibulum that holds the pituitary gland underneath. So when you cut this off, you're going to cut that little cord off, and then so it falls off right there. There's no way to keep that.
What about the midbrain?
The midbrain, you don't need to know those terms for the test. No, you just need to know the structures. So it's just thalamus, Like the midbrain, hindbrain, and forebrain are like the regions of the brain. So you don't need to know that for the practical. The practical is just going to have little pins. So one would be here, it'd be arborite. If it were here, it'd be thalamus. If it was here, it'd be corpus callosum. If it was here, it'd be cerebral cortex, cerebrum, or cerebral hemisphere. They're the same terms for the same thing. Here would be medulla oblongata. Here would be pons. Here would be thalamus. Here would be superior colliculus. Here would be inferior colliculus. Here would be pineal gland or pineal body. If I ask for what is this space, it's the lateral ventricle. If I ask for what is this space here, it's the third ventricle, even though it kind of goes around the thalamus too. This space here would be the cerebral aqueduct. And this space here would be the fourth ventricle.